update on the Warm Homes Clean Air program. It's a combined presentation between the Regional Council staff and our District Council staff. We have here Nicola Chris, Jonathan Caldwell, Amanda Hemmer, who I'm sure a number of you know well, and Michaela Flanagan. And they're sitting down the back and they're welcome to come up here. So the Regional Council staff and Amanda, who's working for the Regional Council, will take us through an update on their program. And what will be, I think, a key interest is Jonathan's reporting back on how the air quality results are tracking in the Tokoroa airshed. Now, just something while we're getting set up here, I would like to highlight we do have I guess what I call a strategic issue to think about, and that is the programs and the incentives that we have across our council and the Regional Council have an impact on air quality. But in terms of a regulatory, i.e. bylaw approach, we do need to consider that approach and the possibility of using that. I do understand that that has been considered in council twice prior. But what I'm asking is that you just reflect on that option as part of the toolkit, if you like, for addressing air quality in Tokoroa particularly. And you do have that bylaw workshop coming up, so we hope that today gives you a bit of background, some material to think about, a chance to ask some questions, and then you can consider the bylaw option and discuss it further in that March workshop on bylaw.
There is actually quite a lot of background information to this bylaw, and yes, twice before we have decided to try and use the carrot approach rather than the stick approach, our council, and that we have not had a bylaw in place, but wanted to put the focus and the emphasis on education and partnerships. And we've gone out and worked hard. I know council staff want to, and Amanda, and welcome Jonathan, have done a lot of work in the past on programs that address the issues of clean air in our district. So I will hand it over to them. We've got some big thinking to do, because when we did put it out for consultation in the earlier days, there was quite a backlash from our community. So we understand the reasons why, absolutely, but we certainly have to be working with our community and taking them with us when we look at these bylaws, if that's the way we decide to go. So there's a whole lot of other information out there that we need to look at and think about, so it is going to be a big workshop. But I'm interested in this presentation today, and that just, as you say, adds information to our toolbox before we make any decisions. So I'll hand it over to you guys. Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Lovely to be back. So, for a number of you won't know who I am. I'm Amanda Hemmer, and I'm currently helping Regional Council with a number of the partnership projects. This is very dear to them, and so obviously it was a pleasure to come and present this information. Thank Mr. Marshall for the opportunity. So just first, if I can introduce the team. So it's actually Kathy Kopicki. Now Kathy's responsible for education, and we're working on behaviour change initiatives regarding this project going forward. And also Michaela Flanagan. Now some of you may remember in events who was focused on policy and strategy in previous years. So that's Michaela's role. And of course, Dr. Jonathan Caldwell, who's the senior scientist at Regional Council. So for me at the moment, I'm really here just to give you a very brief overview. A lot of what I'm going to say is actually in the report. We're happy to answer questions, but the truth is you'll probably find that a lot of them will be answered through Jonathan's presentation anyway. So to begin with, we go back to about 2005, where South Waikato District Council partnered with Regional Council, Trust Waikato, District Health Board and ECA, looking at the South Waikato, particularly Tokoroa in regards to what's called air exceedances. And so they are a representation of poor air quality. So Regional Council had two other areas that they were focused on at the same time, and so decided to investigate ways of supporting those communities, which included Tikawiti and Taupo in regards to improving air quality. So an initiative was begun which was focused on incentives and converting non-compliant heating sources to clean heat. That kind of ran between about 2008 to about 2011. During that time there was some investigation done around improvements in the trends. So Regional Council and the staff here were aware that there needed to be a national environmental standard that was to be met. And Jonathan will go into that a little bit further. With the other two communities, from the interventions that were put into place, they tracked extremely well. And it became obvious very quickly that they were going to meet those standards. The issue became that Tokoroa wasn't quite achieving those levels of improvement that were needed. So about 2011, as indicated, Regional Council actually went back and said, well, we're going to invest all our air quality finances and budget into the Tokoroa issue because it was such a significant issue in terms of the regional work taking place. So there are a number of drivers for that and a number of different motivations for partners to come on board with that. So obviously Regional Council was driven by the need to meet the national environmental standards, but beyond that was also probably some of the more important things for community and where the District Council came in. So we're talking things like there's reduced lifespan. We have some really clear stats around things like premature death. Also a huge impact in terms of our hospitals and respiratory issues that we're facing in the community. Beyond that was also the impact on work days or activity days. So as a whole, the problem was quite beyond just that of meeting the national standards. It was very much about community well-being. And in turn, with that, the consequence of not meeting the national environmental standard was the impact it would make in terms of potential investors. So Jonathan is, I think, going to talk a little bit about that, but what happens is when a community cannot meet their environmental standards, any investors likely to come into that community are going to pay offsets, which means they have to contribute more in regards to improving air quality than they would if they went to another issue or community that didn't have an issue. So the consequence is quite substantial. So look, as mentioned, there's a focus on Tokoroa and there has been a dedicated focus on that for many years in partnership with the District Council and the ECA. Now, what we're facing currently, which is important to put on the table, is that the Regional Council scheme, which focuses on low-income households with non-compliant wood burners that are owner-occupied and installed. From our predictions, we're actually sitting close to about 400 to date. We expect to achieve another 18 homes converted to clean heat prior to the end of the financial year. However, our estimation is that somewhere between 35 and 50 homes are left that would meet that eligibility criteria. So Regional Council is in a stage of assessing the interventions, looking at what other incentive programs might be appropriate. So it's important to put that on the table now that the incentive program we're working to will need to change. But the scarier component for us is actually that even if through all the incentive programs, the regional councils, and that of the ones that are run by South Waikato, we're actually not going to meet the national environmental standards anyway. So you could convert every home in Tokoroa to a new clean heat appliance, and we still would not be meeting the national environmental standard. And Jonathan will share that information with you further on. So that's what we want to present, is we've done a lot, and when we look at the stats in partnership with South Waikato, there are an extremely large amount of families that have benefited from this. And we can't take away from the fact that well-being in terms of those households has improved no end. But if we're looking at the end goal, we haven't got there, nor are we likely to get there with the current tools on the table. So we appreciate at Regional Council that both education and behaviour change are critical, and we recognise that the problem actually is probably less about the non-compliant wood burners and more about the burning behaviour. So if people are still going to burn wet wood in a compliant fire, we're still going to have an issue in Tokoroa. So that's a critical point to consider. So education and behaviour change is something that the Regional Council is investigating thoroughly, Kathy has a lot of work ahead of her around seeing what is appropriate for the Tokoroa community. There are a number of behaviour change programs that are working in, for example, in Canterbury. Now comes a time to consider, is that a community on each level that shares enough commonality with Tokoroa to be a good fit? So regional council is continuing to work on that. Really, at the end of the day, we talked a little bit about the consequences of not meeting the NES. Regional council is really keen to put on the table that we're committed. So we have a partnership agreement with South Waikato District Council to say that we will endeavour to continue to work forward with this. Where we're at is like was indicated previously, and seems as one option. There are a number of other options that we need to look at, and that's one of the reasons we're here today. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Caldwell.
Well, good morning, Council and Your Worship. Thank you for inviting us to talk to you today. So I apologise to some of you who have already presented some of this background information to before, but for the others, I thought it was important to just give a bit of background as well as talking about where air quality is currently. So part of my role as scientist is to manage our air quality monitoring program, and as a regional council we monitor air quality, and when we talk about air quality, one of the main contaminants of concern is PM10, which some of you may well have heard about quite a few times before. And we monitor in Tokoroa, Kaururu and 6 other airsheds on a continuous basis. And so when we talk about an airshed, this is really a legally surveyed boundary that sort of defines an area where regional councils manage air quality. It helps to sort of limit the ring fence where you're going to manage air quality rather than doing it as a region-wide thing. And we do have to have these boundaries approved by the Ministry for the Environment. So here we have the Tokoroa Air Shed, and we have the monitoring station located up by the Villa Street Water Treatment Reserve. So firstly, what does PM10 stand for? It stands for particulate matter that is 10 micrometers or microns in diameter or smaller, so we're talking about very small particles. You may also have heard of another term, PM2.5, and that just refers to all those particles that are 2.5 micrometers in size or smaller. So it talks about a range of particles. And so just to give you an analogy of the size of these particles, if we compare them to a granite beach sand or a human hair fibre, we can see that they are indeed very small. And the smaller those particles are, the further they get down into the lungs, and very small ones can get right over into their bloodstream and cause cardiovascular disease, as well as the respiratory effects. So where does PM10 come from in our environment? We have a lot of different sources: forestry or rural burn-offs, domestic home heating from wood burners, dust from unsealed roads, industrial discharges, traffic, vehicle emissions, volcanic eruptions, and one that you probably don't tend to think of is marine aerosol. So when the wind blows up sea spray, you get little salt particles forming, and they can get transported quite a long way inland. Filtering stations around the country do pick up PM10 that can be sourced back to marine aerosol. So not only is it the size of the particles that affects what the health effects will be, but also the toxicity of those particles. So this is very much related to the source of the particles. So if you have a dust or soil related particle, you'll have dust that will be mainly formed from soil materials. If it's a combustion process that causes those PM10 particles, you'll have a lot of carbon and organic carbon type compounds which typically have a carcinogenic effect. If you've been burning treated or painted wood, for example, you may have heavy metals such as arsenic or lead. And prior to the removal of lead from our leaded petrol, we used to have a lot of lead associated with PM10 as well. So why is it a problem? Well, exposure to PM10 has both health, social and economic impacts. It can create a reduced lifespan. There's a lot of statistics around that. Extra hospital admissions for respiratory and cardiac illness.